I wasn't reading in actual class. I was skipping school and going to my public library and hanging out in the stacks reading books when I was supposed to be in class. You know, I would just kind of like sneak out of school, sneak into the library, you know, because I think some of them probably knew my parents, and just go like hide in the stacks and read books. And I remember I was a musician as a kid, and I remember sitting on the floor and hiding in the stacks, reading this biography of John Coltrane. It was also during the Nancy Reagan Just Say No era, and John Coltrane, whose music I loved, he was a junkie, you know, and I'm sitting there reading this biography of a junkie. And stuff like that really, I think, maybe gives you a more compassionate view of people. I mean, just thinking about how here was this great artist who made this great art, who was this very flawed person. And there was something about reading about his biography that you can't get from just listening to his music. But I just remember having the admiration that I had for him just sort of reinforced. And I think I had more admiration for him knowing his story and knowing, you know, what he was going through. And it was more complicated and more human and just bigger than like drugs bad, junkies bad, you know? And that's the kind of stuff we didn't really discuss in high school, you know? And so like it was a physical refuge to me, my town library. And especially I think because until I was 11, I grew up in a town without any library, including my school had no library. It had, I think, a shelf with some books on it. And so, as we lived out in the country and went to this country school, and then when I was 11, my family moved to this college town, and my sister and I loved two things. We loved books and we loved to roller skate. And that first summer we were there in this college town, there were sidewalks, which we didn't have out in the country, and there was a library. And so every day we would just roller skate over to the public library, and we just couldn't believe you could just live someplace where you could just go to the library every single day instead of having to make this like long drive. It was really important, especially to us, because our family, it's not that books weren't important, it was that one book was important, which was the Bible, and it is an important book, but just having this other place where you could just discover all of these new ideas and people that, you know, had nothing to do with you and your family necessarily, I think. Like the physical place was important. It's contradictory, but I don't just think of learning as book learning, but I think the only way I learned that was from books.